Hi, welcome to What's Cooking with Rochelle. Today we are making a turkey stuffing, and it's a ground turkey stuffing. You could use sausage instead or no meat at all, of course, if you want to make it vegetarian or vegan. But we're going to add a little protein to it to offset the carb load from the bread. To get started making this from scratch, mostly, I have some older bread that is store-bought bread. If you'd like to use your own bread, please feel free. And we are going to dice the bread up and put it in the oven to toast. You want the bread to be completely dried out into what we call bread crumbs or bread cubes. Okay, so I am going to get rid of some stuff. We have a small to medium sized white onion and 2 or 3 ribs of celery that we are simply going to chop up to add in. Okay, now we can get rid of this. And we're going to just put this back into one of these containers that we did. And the other one we're going to use to cook fresh breadcrumbs will only take, 10 minutes or so in the oven. We do have the oven on 375 degrees. Let me make some room. And we are simply just going to take a few at a time and cut them into cubes, whatever size cube you want to use. You don't want to make them too small though, because then they'll fall apart. Now, like I said, in the grocery stores, they sell what is called day-old bread. The bakeries also sell it, so if you want something that doesn't have preservatives, that you don't have to go to the trouble of making, that's a good alternative. Okay. And I am doing mine with half white bread and half wheat bread. Feel free to use whatever bread you would prefer. You can use something with a higher butter and fat content if you want something more decadent, like a brioche bread. The sourdough. Rochelle should have got a bigger knife, huh? Well, it happens. Okay. And cutting up the bread cubes is something that if you wanted the family to help with, that they could definitely do. Now I have some chicken stock here. I have 2 cups of chicken stock. And we are going to be seasoning the chicken stock. Now, the reason I mention that is you could season the breadcrumbs as well, but we're just going to make basic breadcrumbs, bread cubes. Okay, voila. Okay, now that we have these all chopped up, we are simply going to put them on a sheet pan. Okay. Spread them out. No need to add anything to them. Like I said, if you wanted to, you could add salt, pepper, and seasoning to these as well. But we're just going to put these in the oven and toast these until they're golden brown. Okay, and while that is going on, we're going to move on to the next step, which is to cook the meat. So whatever kind of meat you decided to use, whether it's an Italian sausage to add a little more zing, if it's a turkey, which is making it more healthy, ground chicken, or no meat at all. Okay, and we're just going to put that into a skillet. You're gonna get it cooked and crumbled up so that when we add it into the breadcrumbs and everything to make the sausage. The next step is all of our herbs. So to our chicken stock, we are going to add the thyme and the sage and the rosemary and the parsley. Now, if you have fresh herbs, use fresh herbs. If not, use dried. And remember, when you're reading the portions, when you have 1 tablespoon of fresh equals 1 teaspoon of dried. Okay, now we're adding in some black pepper to taste. And we are going to melt this butter into this. Now, you could do all of this on the stove, but we're actually going to melt this in the microwave. And we are going to taste it once it's all done to see how much salt we need to add. I used an unsalted butter. If you have salted butter, obviously be careful. You don't want to make it too salty. Okay, and while we're waiting on all of that, let's get this egg beat. And this egg is just going to help it bind. All right, I hear the sausage or the turkey is getting ready. Okay, so those 2 parts are almost all done. The butter is melting in the microwave in our chicken stock and our turkey, which we have broken up. If you have one of those cool tools that you stick in and it makes the meat all come apart, all the better. Or you can do what I just did with their spatula and or fork and knife to break it up without ruining your pan, of course. Okay, now we have our butter melted into it. Give it a quick stir, get that rest of it just melted. We're going to taste it for salt and check the pepper as well. Okay, so it does need just a little bit. And again, you add whatever you feel is appropriate for you, depending on what kind of stock you use and whether there's salt in your stock is going to determine how much salt you need to add. Okay, we are going to finish this off by taking our turkey and putting this in a bowl. Leave the liquid. We're going to actually par cook our onions and celery to make them softer. And as I've said before, if you prefer yours crunchier, please feel free to do that as well. And if you would like, you can add some more butter to the celery and onion just to soften them up if you need something to prevent them from burning. We're going to see how it does. But we've got all the ingredients. We're waiting on the breadcrumbs. They take about 10 minutes, so I'll see you back here in a minute. Okay, our breadcrumbs are crispy now. Let's get them out of the oven. You're going to want to leave the oven on because we're going to be putting it back in the oven once we get it all assembled. But you can see I've got bread cubes here that are nice and toasty. All right. Now we just need to assemble all of the parts. So we've got our celery and onions that we have softened. We've got our ground turkey that we've cooked. And again, if you want more meat, you could add more meat. If you want no meat, which is what we do a lot of the times in our house. Okay, now the important part. We're going to be adding our chicken stock. And you are going to want to give it a quick toss. Get it all combined equally. That looks perfect. And last but not least, we're going to add in our beaten egg. And again, that's just going to bind it a little bit better together. Give that a toss. If you wanted to add nuts, dried fruits, anything like that to yours, now is when you would add that. That way they'll stay crunchy. Now, stuffing is one of those things where you either like it soft or hard. Now, whichever way your family prefers determines what kind of dish you're going to put it in. What do I mean? The deeper the dish, the softer it will all be. The longer, more narrow the dish, the more crispy that you'll have. So, okay, we are just going to give this a quick push around. Okay, you are going to want to cover this and cook it in your oven at 375 degrees for about a half an hour. The last 5 or 10 minutes, whether we need to add it or take it off, we are going to leave the top off to make the top super crunchy. I'll see you back here. All right, our stuffing is done. It was in the oven for a half an hour. Then I left it uncovered for an additional 10 minutes. Okay, the best part of the day, we get to dig in. Oh my goodness. You can see I made it crunchy on the top, soft underneath. Oh, that's hot, guys. So flavorful. You won't tell I dug into that, right? But I hope you can see how crispy it is on the edges. If your family likes it crispy, definitely do a shallower dish. If you like it soft in the middle, do a deeper dish. And if you like spice, you can add spice to this too. Don't be shy. Thanks for watching What's Cooking with Rochelle. Hopefully you'll join me for my next episode, and if you have any suggestions, always let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. That was really good.